On June the 11th, 2016, thousands of happy investors joined the Coin Rush Global event, a corporate celebration held at the SSE Arena, a large indoors venue near Wembley Stadium in London. On paper, this was a financial convention, but the vibes were more Eurovision meets Tony Awards ceremony. Lively hosts stirred the audience, congratulating everyone present on the enormous success of the companies they had invested in, Onecoin Limited and One Life Network Limited. One of the hosts revealed that their company ranked in 5th place on a leaderboard of billion-dollar companies worldwide. Not bad, but the excited presenter challenged the audience to dare aiming to reach the top of that board. The Master of Ceremonies then introduced the main act of the event. Clad in a bright red dress, the co-founder and head of Onecoin herself, Ruja Ignatova, stepped on stage. To rapturous applause, she announced that her main product, the namesake Onecoin cryptocurrency, had attracted 3.5 million users and investors across 175 countries, racking in some $4 billion in revenue. The event had clearly been a success. The entire Onecoin enterprise was a triumph. But if you were to watch the video of the convention on YouTube and scroll to 8 minutes and 14 seconds, you would notice the leaderboard of companies we mentioned earlier. In a very transparent way, a 3-letter acronym is displayed before the word companies, MLM, which stands for multi-level marketing. This is not necessarily a euphemism for a company shaped after an ancient Egyptian funerary monument, but in this case, well, it was one of those red flags which would later signal the downfall of Onecoin, one of the largest and strangest financial scandals in recent history. So, as of 2016, Onecoin was a success story, the latest rising star in the increasingly crowded marketplace of cryptocurrencies. As opposed to competitors such as Bitcoin, this new kid on the block was advertised as a simple, user-friendly, straightforward, and essentially democratic approach to virtual financial transactions. Moreover, the team behind Onecoin offered its users and investigators a wide variety of affordable packages and online courses, enabling anyone to become the next big investor. The main engine behind Onecoin's triumph was its co-founder, Bulgarian-born Ruja Ignatova, self-styled queen of cryptocurrencies. The press has referred to her also simply as the Crypto Queen, which may be more appropriate as the Greek word for kryptos means hidden or secret, and there are plenty of hidden pages and secret corners in the story of Ruja Ignatova and the financial scandal which surrounded her creation. The future Queen of Cryptocurrencies, Ruja Ignatova, was born on May 30th, 1980 in Sofia, Bulgaria, from an engineer dad and a teacher mother. In 1990, the Ignatovs moved to Schramberg, southern Germany, where apparently Ruja thrived academically. According to author Jamie Bartlett in his The Missing Crypto Queen, she excelled as a student as well as a chess player and was described as being intelligent, motivated, and rather aloof. Ruja later graduated in economics at the University of Constance, where she would meet her future husband, law graduate Bjorn Strel. From then onwards, Ignatova continued to build strong foundations for a successful future. She developed a skill for presenting complex ideas in a convincing, effective, and even witty style. All the while, she continued her studies, obtaining a second degree in European law from Oxford University. Next, the ambitious Ruja landed a job in Sofia at consulting firm McKinsey & Company, but this prestigious role did not get in the way of further study and self-improvement. According to Bartlett, she desperately wanted to be rich, even devouring books in the early hours about how to make money. Okay, it seems like eventually the job at McKinsey did get in the way of Ruja's desire to become rich, and she started looking for entrepreneurial opportunities. With the help of her father, Ignatova acquired a metallurgical plant in Bavaria, an apparently solid investment, but in 2012 the plant went bust and the German judiciary suspected fraudulent bankruptcy. Moreover, 150 employees at the plant had lost their jobs, and one trustee of the plant accused her of embezzling at least €1 million from the company. Ruja went on trial and received a 14-month suspended sentence for fraud. She must have shrugged this setback as a minor hitch, considering what happened next. Less than a year later, Ruja and her business associate Sebastian Greenwood had launched their first endeavour in the field of cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin was all the rage back then. Well, why not try Bitcoin then? That was the name of their first electronic currency, in fact, but this first stab at virtual money didn't last long. Ruja would not, however, concede defeat, and after tweaking her product in 2014, the businesswoman was ready to announce to the world the launch of Onecoin. In her words, this was the currency that would bury Bitcoin and completely revolutionize the global financial system by becoming a tool for everyone, the Facebook of cryptocurrencies. Ignatova and Sebastian Greenwood immediately set about pitching Onecoin to investors in Europe and New York. The indefatigable duo hosted dozens of webinars inviting prospective investors to commit funds into a Onecoin account, which would enable them to acquire a participation package. Their initial investment could be rewarded with a 5-fold or even 10-fold return. But how did this Onecoin work exactly? Much like other cryptocurrencies, Onecoins could be mined from a total stash of 120 billion, then stored into an e-wallet and used to make payments. Onecoins could also be converted into other currencies via a dedicated exchange or internal marketplace called XCoinX. In order to mine Onecoins, users had to buy a starter package. If they wanted to trade via XCoinX, they had to upgrade their level up to the top package called Tycoon Trader. The company stressed the benefits of using Onecoin for secure and discreet international transactions. Onecoin lacks a central authority of regulation. It is therefore not subject to the same limitations of traditional currency, such as transaction fees and transaction caps. Onecoin is also a safer method of international exchange. Traditional banking institutions link transactions directly with a person's bank account. This means that a variety of information is made susceptible to third-party thieves during a transaction, and that private information may be stolen. Onecoin Limited would initially earn income from packages from starter to tycoon, as well as acquiring capital from investors. The company also sold educational materials such as courses on crypto, trading, and investing. Users were incentivized to buy the course packages as they included tokens which could be used to mine Onecoins. Eventually, these educational courses became the main source of business, propelling Onecoin's spectacular accelerated growth. As a reward for this success, in December 2014, Ruja Ignatova was awarded the prize as Bulgarian Business Lady of the Year. Accolades are nice, sure, but material rewards are even better. In 2015, Ignatova was able to reward herself with a $2.7 million penthouse flat in Dubai, overlooking the artificial archipelago of Palm Jumeirah. And she was not the only one making big bucks. In the years that followed, 11 of her business associates also bought exclusive properties in Dubai. Speaking of associates, any corporate poster worthy of its name would teach you that together, everyone achieves more. Ruja could not achieve a successful launch by herself, but luckily she could rely on a team of talented individuals to help her run her companies Onecoin Limited and One Life Network Limited. The court of the crypto queen consisted of obvious appointments, such as her brother Constantine, confidant and designated second in command. By her side stood also Frank Schneider, chief of operations and overall troubleshooter. Schneider had an interesting background. Previously a founder of a private security firm, he had also been operational director of the SRE, the Intelligence Agency of Luxembourg. Legal and regulatory matters were handled by experienced US lawyer Mark Scott, as well as Chief Compliance Officer Irina Dilkinska. Finally, Ruja needed some charismatic ambassadors for her brand who could spread the word about the benefits of Onecoin. These were Carrie Walrus, brand ambassador for Europe, and Onecoin co-founder, Swedish citizen Sebastian Greenwood. We shall return to Walrus at a later stage, but for the moment let's take a closer look at Greenwood, who will also have a large role in the Onecoin affair. If Ruja Ignatova was the queen of cryptocurrency, Greenwood might be described as the high priest, a charismatic master of ceremonies with a soft spot for self-promotion and a peculiar tendency to refer to himself in the third person. Quoting from his own bio in LinkedIn, presumably written by himself, Sebastian Greenwood is a prime example of what a trustworthy leader and qualified marketing professional is. In today's world of highly web-based international business marketing, there are few people more respected, qualified, and trusted than Sebastian Greenwood. Greenwood showcased his leadership skills on the social platform, sharing enlightening and life-changing advice, such as, "The mind is just like a muscle. Exercise it, the stronger it gets, and the more it can expand." Or, "Never give up. Today is hard, tomorrow will be worse, but the day after tomorrow will be sunshine." More importantly, Greenwood used his LinkedIn and Tumblr accounts to flaunt the launch of Onecoin. Onecoin is Sebastian Greenwood's most recent venture. He is again proving himself to be an innovator in the growing market of cryptocurrency. Greenwood is a master distributor of Onecoin, a digital currency system that is revolutionizing the business world of today's digital economy. Curiously, Sebastian's posts barely mention his business partners, giving the impression that Onecoin might be entirely his brainchild. The Sebastian Greenwood biography is still a work in progress. Ultimately, however, it will be the story of how one man came to change the ways in which people do business in our modern world. One man. Maybe that biography can provide some more insights. If you're interested in Greenwood's life story, he has published an abridged version as a video on YouTube, which we warmly encourage you to take a look at. This synthetic voice rattling out corporate platitudes and resume milestones is a particularly delightful highlight. Will Greenwood ever commit a full biography in writing? As we shall learn later, he will have plenty of time in his hands to do so. While Onecoin was enjoying a meteoric success from 2014 to 2016, it was also raising some eyebrows. Let's circle back to that acronym we encountered at the beginning. MLM. Onecoin Limited, in fact, operated as a multi-level marketing network in more than one way. Established investors of the company could receive commissions for convincing family and friends into buying cryptocurrency packages. In addition, those who had enrolled to the educational courses could also receive rewards if they brought along more participants. Speaking of the courses, they featured more problematic aspects. First of all, holders of cryptocurrency were forced to buy increasing levels of educational packages as a precondition to trade their Onecoins. In addition to that, it appeared that most of the material had been plagiarized from other sources. In other words, users had to buy allegedly plagiarized content to earn the right to sell their virtual coins. That in itself would have been enough to make Ruja's customers very unhappy, and yet Onecoin continued to thrive until users in cryptocurrency forums reported one concerning shortcoming. Onecoin Limited didn't have a payment system or a blockchain model. As defined by IBM, a blockchain model is a shared, immutable ledger that facilitates the process of recording transactions and tracking assets in a business network. Assets can be tangible or intangible. Therefore, a blockchain is an essential component in recording the transactions associated with a cryptocurrency. No blockchain, no records. No records, no transactions. And if there are no transactions, then the value of a specific cryptocurrency cannot be regulated by the market laws of supply and demand. In that case, who or what determined the value of Onecoins? Clearly, not the market. It was directly, arbitrarily, and discreetly manipulated by Onecoin itself. Storm clouds were gathering over the crown of the crypto queen. The initial concerns of private users and investors reached the ears of authorities, and as early as 2015, the Bulgarian Commission of Financial Supervision started questioning the soundness of the entire enterprise. Then in 2016, more and more owners of Onecoins started reporting serious difficulties in selling their e-wallets of cryptocurrency. A word started to spread online. Scam. Onecoin, the supposed alternative to Bitcoin, was nothing but that. Then investigators and regulating authorities worldwide started to get involved. First in Norway, where in March 2016 the Direct Selling Association defined Onecoin as being a fraudulent pyramid scheme. In May, it was the turn of Hungarian central bank to issue a warning against Ignatova and her core. Once again, users were advised to stay clear of their pyramid scheme. By December, the Italian Competition and Market Authority blocked altogether the activities of Onecoin in their country, while the English judiciary had already started collecting evidence on the case. Ignatova and her partners were unperturbed and continued to peddle their packages and online courses. In 2017, they triumphantly announced that the Vietnamese government had allowed Onecoin to be used as a digital currency, the first crypto coin to receive such a license in the country, but the local government quickly refuted the claim. In the same year, the US federal government started their investigation too, pointing out that Onecoins were essentially worthless, nothing more than pixels resting on a balloon of hot air and empty promises, as described by New York District Attorney Cyrus Vance. Onecoin is nothing more than a classic pyramid scheme, built using new technological platforms. Not only that, it was clear by then that the whole operation had the dubious honour of being both a pyramid scheme and a Ponzi scheme. This is a type of scam popularised by infamous conman Charles Ponzi in the 1920s, by which a charismatic character entices private citizens by dangling complex investments in front of their eyes, promising astonishing returns. Initially, investors may see some form of return, but these are not dividends yielded by the investment. The scammers simply redistribute new funds collected from a new wave of investors. The only benefit beneficiaries of the scheme are the fraudsters who are able to rake in millions without breaking a sweat. The largest and most infamous Ponzi scheme in history was the one concocted by Wall Street financier Bernie Madoff, who stole a total of $20 billion from his victims. His scheme ran for an estimated 21 years, meaning he raked in some $952 million each year. Ruja Ignatova and her accomplices had managed the Onecoin scam for about 3 years though, but still collected an estimated $4 billion. Therefore, at an average rate of $1.3 billion a year, Ignatova had outscammed the master of Ponzi schemes himself. The scandalous scale of this grift was even more impressive if you consider that the vast majority of the funds had been collected over a 6-month period back in 2016. Some $131 million came from British investors, or should we say victims. An eye-watering $473 million came from China, with the rest pouring in from the US, South Korea, Germany, Vietnam, Bangladesh, Uganda, and a further 167 countries. As it would later emerge from US court documents, Ignatova and her co-founder Greenwood had set up Onecoin as a massive scam from the very start. In their emails, they referred to their currency as a trashy coin. While the investors were labelled as idiots and crazy, in a particular telling message to Greenwood, Ignatova admitted the following: "It might not be something really clean or that I normally work on or even could be proud of, except with you in private when we make the money." She had also laid out her genius plan should everything go pear-shaped. They would take the money and run and blame somebody else for this. Everything did indeed go pear-shaped. In October 2017, the US Department of Justice charged Ignatova with wire fraud, conspiracy to commit wire fraud, securities fraud, conspiracy to commit securities fraud, and conspiracy to commit money laundering. These charges carried maximum sentences of up to 20 years in prison. On October 12th, a federal judge in New York then issued an international arrest warrant, and the hunt was on. Sadly, we have to report that the hunt is still on. On October 25th, crypto queen Ruja Ignatova boarded a Ryanair flight from Sofia to Athens, Greece, and just like that, she vanished into thin air. It's been speculated that Ruja may have been tipped off to the arrest warrant thanks to her wide network of contacts, but the FBI has another theory. According to the Bureau, Ignatova had bugged the apartment of an American boyfriend of hers and had thus learned that the man was cooperating with the federal investigation on Onecoin. By the way, this boyfriend was not named, and it's not clear if she had separated from her husband at that stage. In any case, she was gone, but her company continued to operate under her successor, brother Konstantin Ignatov. He continued to operate the enterprise as if nothing had happened, but the march of justice was relentless. In 2018, Bulgarian police raided the offices of Onecoin Limited, and in July 2018, self-described trustworthy leader and qualified marketing professional Sebastian Greenwood was arrested at his home in Koh Samui, Thailand. The co-founder was extradited to the US, where in December 2022 he pled guilty to wire fraud, conspiracy to commit wire fraud, and conspiracy to launder money. He will face 20 years in prison for each of these charges. As per Konstantin, he travelled to the US on business in early 2019, which was a grave mistake, and on March 6th, as he was boarding his return flight at Los Angeles International Airport, he was seized by the police and taken in for questioning. Konstantin agreed to cooperate with prosecutors, providing information which led to the indictment and sentencing of Onecoin's legal counsel, Mark Scott. On January 25th, 2024, the former lawyer was convicted of laundering $400 million of Ruja's ill-gotten gains and sentenced to 10 years in prison. On March 5th, 2024, US District Judge Edgardo Ramos handed Konstantin his sentence, 34 months, which he had already served as he awaited trial. Ignatov was thus released, not before taking responsibility for his actions. "I can only blame myself. I still have trouble looking into my own eyes in the mirror. The last 5 years were a very painful period of my life, but I'm glad for the lessons I've learned." On April 3rd, Judge Ramos issued his next sentence, 4 years imprisonment for Onecoin's head of compliance, Irina Dilkinska. Evidence showed how Dilkinska had laundered at least $110 million of fraudulent profits by diverting them to an entity in the Cayman Islands. US Attorney Damian Williams remarked upon the irony of a chief of compliance officer being guilty of money laundering. "Irina Dilkinska's involvement in the sprawling Onecoin pyramid scheme was a flagrant breach of conduct. Rather than upholding the law and embracing her position as the head of legal and compliance, she facilitated and committed money laundering. aiding in the exploitation of millions of victims. In addition to these high-profile arrests, law enforcement agencies worldwide cracked down on dozens of rank-and-file Onecoin accomplices at all levels of the scheme. In May 2018 alone, Chinese police made 160 arrests related to the scam, and in the years that followed, a further 30 individuals were killed by law enforcement as they attempted to smuggle funds outside of China. Or at least, so claims Kari Walrus, one of the leading ambassadors of the Onecoin brand and chief orchestrator of the scheme's energetic sales pitches. The Finnish national has not faced any legal consequences so far and will be at the centre of an upcoming documentary called Onecoin: The Inside Man. In preview snippets of the documentary, Kari has declared that he was not aware that Onecoin was a scam, but he does reveal interesting facts about the daily running of the company. For example, Walrus states that during his successful sales tours, he was seldom sober. Did I drink alcohol? Yes, every day. Did I use tons of it? He also describes the VIP treatment reserved to the 20 leaders at the top of Onecoin's pyramid. These middle-aged men were frequently invited to a luxury gentleman's club in Thailand, where Greenwood in particular would have a great time. Sebastian takes a girl and goes, "F*** her." He comes back and takes another one. He was using his money and power to seduce girls. Finally, Walrus hints at the fact that somebody at Onecoin may have tried to kill him by poisoning. I felt the numbness and dizziness coming to my face. They tried to kill me. We don't have any further details as the documentary hasn't been released yet. If you do want to know what Walrus is up to, according to the independent website behind MLM.com, he is now promoting Global NFT Group, a company selling non-fungible tokens whose brand identity is represented for some reason by a sophisticated penguin. According to the website, this is another alleged Ponzi scheme which relies on adults pretending to give a crap about cartoon penguins. Another lead character in the Onecoin scam is Frank Schneider, the former spy from Luxembourg turned chief operations officer. The FBI had issued an international arrest warrant against him, and in April 2021, Schneider was seized in France. He was fitted with an ankle monitor and put under house arrest awaiting extradition. Once put on trial, he could have faced up to 40 years in prison. Speaking to the BBC while under house arrest in August 2022, Schneider revealed how his boss, Ruja Ignatova, had obtained confidential files leaked from Europol meetings, which may explain how she kept one step ahead of the law. Interviewed again in December 2022, Schneider expressed concerns about his impending extradition, claiming he would not get a fair trial in the US. The system is very much based on so-called plea bargaining. Now for me, that already is a problem, because I profoundly believe that I am not guilty. A trial in the US is a phenomenally expensive thing for a defendant. It will cost between 5 and 8 million. Those are amounts that I don't have. So I'm a bit stuck as to what would happen in the United States if I get there. He denied, however, that he planned pulling an Ignatova and going on the run. Running away doesn't deal with anything. This battle isn't finished yet. But in June 2023, French authorities confirmed to the BBC that Schneider had evaded electronic surveillance, and he too had disappeared. As of September 2024, the FBI is still after Ruja Ignatova and have placed her in the list of top 10 most wanted criminals. In cooperation with the Department of State's Transnational Organised Crime Rewards program, they're even offering a whopping reward of up to $5 million for information leading to the arrest and or conviction of Ruja Ignatova. Should you have any information about her whereabouts, you may call 1-800-CALL-FBI or head to tips.fbi.gov, but be careful. According to the FBI, Ignatova is believed to travel with armed guards and or associates. Ignatova may have had plastic surgery or otherwise altered her appearance. We should specify that there are reasons to believe that the crypto queen may never be found, at least not alive. Already in early 2023, a team of Bulgarian investigative journalists reported that Ignatova may have been murdered. They cited as their source their informant, Krasimir Kamenov, a Bulgarian mobster then wanted by Interpol. Kamenov could not expand on his tip-off as he and his wife were shot dead in Cape Town back in May 2023. The BBC continued to look into the allegations that the Queen may have been killed too. In June 2024, they spoke to former US Internal Revenue Service investigator Richard Reinhardt, who mentioned a piece of information never publicly disclosed before. Apparently, Ignatova had hired the service of one Christoforos Nikos Amanatidis, also known as Taki. This Taki was described as a very significant, if not the most prolific, drug trafficker of all time in Bulgaria. In his native Bulgaria, he is considered as the local equivalent of El Chapo or Pablo Escobar. Taki and his gang have been investigated for armed robbery, drug smuggling and murder, but he's never successfully been prosecuted. So, a pretty big shot then, and the gangster's involvement with Onecoin was twofold. On one hand, he invested in the cryptocurrency to launder his proceeds from drug deals, and on the other hand, he served as Ignatova's head of security, receiving payments of 100,000 euros a month to ensure her physical protection. The unholy alliance of crypto scammers with gangsters was described by Reinhardt as like a white-collar criminal combined with a drug trafficker or mafia guy on steroids. According to the BBC, it's not known how Taki and Ignatova first met, but it's undoubted that they had a close relationship and that he was the godfather of her daughter. One Bulgarian source, while it's not known how Taki and Miss Ignatova met, or whether he was involved with Onecoin from the start, multiple sources say he had a close personal relationship and that he was the godfather to her daughter. However, the Queen's chief bodyguard may have turned against her, eventually. Bulgarian journalist Dimitar Stoyanov reported receiving a police report which had been found at the home of a murdered Bulgarian police officer. The file contained the testimony of a police informant, according to which Taki's brother-in-law had once drunkenly admitted that the Bulgarian gangster had ordered Ignatova's murder in late 2018. Her body had then been dismembered and dumped into the Ionian Sea. The motive for murder? Well, after half of the world's law enforcement agencies had started cracking down on Onecoin, Taki felt that his association with the Queen was a liability. It was therefore time to sever, in the most drastic way, all links to the crypto scam. Stoyanov also stated that since Ignatova's disappearance, many of her Bulgarian properties appeared to have been used by people connected to Taki, which suggests that the gangster may have taken over her assets. And according to a Bulgarian former deputy minister, Mr. Hristanov, the Cape Town assassination of Kamenov was also linked to the affair and was ordered by Taki himself. As he told the BBC, certain people had to be removed because they knew too much about Taki. It was kind of a public execution that looked more like a statement. Be careful who you deal with. We should clarify that Ruja Ignatova's body has never been found, of course. Bulgarian prosecutors didn't have enough evidence to prosecute Taki, and that the BBC was unable to independently verify the claims against the drug dealer. Nonetheless, former investigator Richard Reinhardt believes Ruja Ignatova is likely dead. There's no honour among thieves. Knowing how violent cartels are, if Taki thought she was a threat to him, he would probably take her out instead of getting caught. The FBI will keep the crypto queen on their top 10 list for the time being, as there's no conclusive evidence that Ruja Ignatova may be lying at the bottom of the Ionian Sea. In fact, since her disappearance, and as recently as 2022, she's been allegedly sighted in Greece, Germany, and Dubai. Until her whereabouts are known, it's unlikely that the entire Onecoin scandal will reach its full closure, the lack of which may still haunt the estimated 3 million victims who lost their savings to the massive scams. Since the disappearance of Ignatova, several thousands of them have taken action, organising support groups and even filing class actions against the Queen's associates, hoping for a full restitution of their investments. One of the most active groups is the one coordinated by Scottish IT professional Jennifer McAdam, who told her story in her book Devil's Coin, My Battle to Take Down the Notorious Onecoin Crypto Queen, published in August 2023. McAdam's scheduled talks to promote her memoir were cancelled following security concerns. According to her publisher, Adlib, after serious security concerns were raised, Jennifer was advised not to go ahead with the events next week. Since taking on the fugitive Onecoin crypto queen Ruja Ignatova, she has suffered a campaign of intimidation, including legal challenges, death threats, and vile online abuse. Jennifer's example shows that fraud is not necessarily a non-violent crime, as those involved may become very dangerous, or associate themselves with the dangerous Takis of this world. But even if scammers aren't prone to physical violence, their crimes are far from victimless, as they can shatter an individual's prospects for a serene life. Moreover, pyramid and Ponzi schemes such as Onecoin tend to prey on small private investors who can hardly afford taking a substantial blow to their finances. The likes of Ignatova and her court of acolytes have stolen more than just cash. To quote from McAdam, they have stolen a family's future, a child's education fund, the cost of life-saving hospital treatment, or, as likely, the money to pay for tonight's dinner.